One question I get asked again and again is it possible to create a really good IKEA layout plan for a new kitchen without breaking the bank? And yes, I think it is. But in order to do so, you really need to know where the money goes when you're creating a layout plan, because some items, they just bring up the cost and you will burn through a lot of money in no time if you don't pay attention. So in this video, I will do my best to give you some tips and tricks how to get most bang for your buck when you're creating a layout plan. So the money, they will come out of your pocket, but maybe at a slower rate than if you just let go and put everything IKEA offers into your new layout plan. Let's get started. Before I show you which items will bring up the cost of your new IKEA kitchen, it is important to get a little bit of basic understanding of the IKEA price structure. It all starts with the base cabinets, which I find is fairly priced, and then we can start adding components. The first thing is to put a door on it, and then it becomes more expensive. And if we put on a door of a better material, for instance solid oak, well, then the price will go up. That's not a surprise. And if we take that door off and we put on or put in drawers instead, price will go up even more. And again, if we take the drawer fronts and make them solid oak as well, price is higher. And that's not a surprise. But when you go to IKEA and you look at the various fronts you can put on your cabinets, you can easily be discouraged by looking at the difference between the cheapest one and the most expensive one. Because as you can see here, the most expensive one compared to the cheaper one is almost 7 times as expensive. But it is important not to let these numbers discourage you, because clearly a kitchen is a lot more than just the fronts. So if we take these two doors and we put them on a cabinet, then the price difference in percentage between the two cabinets is a lot less, because the price of the cabinet box itself is the same no matter what door you put on it. So as you can see, the difference between the most expensive door and the cheapest one now is only double up and not 7 times anymore. And the same can be said if we put in drawers instead of having doors on. Now the difference between the two as a whole unit will be decreased. It's nevertheless still 70% more, but it's a lot less than the 7 times we had for just the front. The comparison we just did was when we had the same interior of the cabinet, but 2 different doors, meaning the cheaper one or the more expensive one. Now we want to take a look at what if we compare to what's inside the cabinet. That means, do we have just a door on with shelves in the cabinet, or do we have drawers? That is interesting to see how the price would change as well. And of course, it's not a big surprise that if we replace the door with drawers, the price will go up. And in this case, it will be with a factor 2. So again, double up if we take the door off and put drawers inside the cabinet. Same front. In this case, the cheapest one. And we can do the same with the most expensive front we have in Canada right now, the oak front. And the price again will go up to pretty much double up if we take a cabinet, take the door off and put drawers in instead. So that's something to keep in mind for sure when we are making a layout plan. These numbers clearly depend on what kind of setup you have in the drawer cabinet, because you could have 2 drawers instead of 3 as I have in this example. You could have one big front and then just one big drawer at the bottom, for instance, as a garbage pull out. So this is just examples. And I'm not sure this is relevant, but if you look at the difference between the cheapest combination, that means the cheap front and just the door, and the more expensive fronts and drawers in the cabinet, of course the difference between those two will increase as well. And if you're thinking, nah, I want the wood look, so why is he picking the white door all the time? Well, the birch looking or ash looking door you see here now is actually priced the same as the white one, because both of them are in the cheap category. Now that we have looked at individual cabinets, I think it's interesting to take a look at a whole kitchen setup, just like they do at IKEA. In this case, I have created this little kitchen, and you can see there's a number of base cabinets, there's a number of upper cabinets. And the first example here is the cheapest front IKEA have in Canada. It's called Askersund. Repeat after me, Askersund. And that is a door with a wood-looking foil on particle board. And as you can see, the total price for this setup in Canadian dollars is $3,867. However, in order to compare, we'll put that as index 100. That means that the prices that I'm showing you now for all the other fronts you can get in Canada is in relation to this one. Makes it a lot easier to compare. In Canada, Ikea have 17 different fronts available, and some of them come in a number of colors, but in this one I only shown the various designs. And I won't say much, I will just let them roll so you can see how the price will increase when we change the front. And I have also put on the material so you can see the relationship between the two. And the Witham concludes the series of fronts from Ikea, and you can see this one is about 66% more expensive than the cheapest one for this specific setup. So the front is something you absolutely want to take into consideration when you're deciding which one to pick if price is an issue. From making these comparisons, it's clear to anyone that there is a relationship between the cost of the kitchen and the material and the finish of the fronts. But is there also a relationship between the thickness of the door and the perception the past clients have of the quality of these doors, which I have tried to look at the reviews left on the Ikea website in the US and in Canada. For the thickness, there was no really any relationship between the cost of the kitchens and the thickness of the doors. And when it comes to the reviews, there was way too few reviews to really make it statistically accurate to say if there's any relationship between the cost and the quality people perceive when they buy the various designs. If you still have money to spend, I can recommend checking out the Ikea website on the section kitchen accessories. Then they have a whole bunch of various items you can put inside your cabinets. And I'm not going to go through any of those right now. What I do want to tell you about, though, is the glass sides, because normally I did not recommend those, but Ikea has lowered the price for those sides. And they go in the Maximera drawer, and they will fill out that gap there is between the bottom of the drawer up to that rod that runs to the back. And you can have that for the high drawer and the medium drawer. And it can be convenient depending on what you have in the drawer. If you got kitchen towels, for instance, or lid or small Tupperware items, this glass side will prevent those items from falling out to the side of the drawer. So check those out. And if you have a lot of money to spend on your accessories for the drawers, I can recommend you take a look at the drawer light. They are not cheap though, because you can expect to spend between $40 and $192 per cabinet, and that is even without the power supply and electrical work, because clearly you need the electrician to come and run some wires for those. So it's not a cheap thing, but it's a great conversation piece when you have people over, because when you open the drawer, boom, you got light in there, and it looks really nice and fancy. But I do think that the attraction will wear off relatively fast. But check them out and consider if that is something for you. The last piece of accessories I want to show you is the push opener, the electrical push opener for the drawer under the sink cabinet. A lot of people actually like that. I have not installed many of those because a lot of people don't want to pay for that. But those who said we want it, they absolutely love it, because when it's in there, you just knock on the door with your knee and boom, the drawer will swing open and come out. Before I send you off for you to do your own layout plan, I want to show you these two pictures. The upper one is the Askersund door and the lower one is the Oak Vedham door, as I shown you previously. And you can see here the price difference is significant, and that's because in the upper kitchen I have taken out all the drawers except one cabinet, whereas in the lower one I added all the drawers possible, all the laser Susans we can squeeze in, and the push openers and the whatnot, and the drawer light and the glass sides. So that kitchen setup becomes quite significantly more expensive than the upper one. The upper one I can actually optimize a little bit. As you can see, I can take, what is it, $100 off. And how do I do that? Well, I'm going to show you that right now. So in this setup we have two 18-inch drawer cabinets, and 18 plus 18 is actually 36. So if we replace those two 18 drawer cabinets with a 36-inch drawer cabinet, that will give you a 26% saving, and you will actually get a little bit more space out of it, because you can have more in one 36 drawer than you can in two 18s. So that's absolutely something to keep in mind when you start creating your layout plan. And here's another example just to prove my point. We have three 24-inch cabinets, which in total are 72 inches long, and we can replace those with two 36-inch cabinets, and that will give you a saving of 19%. And let me remind you that you get the same or even a little bit more storage space. So you're not compromising anything, except sometimes you don't have the room for that. But if you have a long line of cabinets, it is worth considering if you can optimize your cabinets like this. So with all this information at hand, here is what I will suggest for you if you want to have a game plan for creating your dream kitchen. First of all, you have to make the layout plan of your dreams. Put in the doors you like, put in the drawers you like, put in everything as you would like it to be if money was not an option. And then you have to optimize it for functionality, for design, and at the end, optimize it for cost, like I just showed you a few examples of you can do. So give it some thoughts and do your best, and it is possible to create your dream kitchen even on a budget. But it is important to prioritize what's important, and sometimes you need to compromise. One final word from me today should be that if you need any help with anything regarding to your installation, you can check out my website, which is a great source of information as well. And should you need any help with your layout plan, I am offering to do a layout plan review. And should you have any troubles during installation, I also offer support calls. So check it out on my website. There will be a link up right in the corner there and in the description. So thank you so much for watching.